Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at LuckyDiceCafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, Alex Coons, and Tyler Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know that Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXOFF for 5% off your HeroClix order. If you like what you're listening to today on Clixed Off, check us out, patreon.com/ClixedOff. $1 and above gets entered into our monthly giveaways. $5 and above gets entered into our Discord channel for HeroClix strategy and tactics discussion. And joining me tonight is Jason, north of Richmond, Alvey.
Hello, hello.
He's really good, Jason.
He is really good. I like that song quite a bit.
Jason and I are Oliver Anthony stans now.
Yep.
So, and then secondly, joining us tonight is Alex. Is a stand-up dad, does not take the King Killmonger from his son's birthday packs, and is really great dad for doing so. Coos.
I'm glad my son is not old enough to hear this podcast to know that I have looked in his boosters to make sure he gets something good, and he knows. Like, I hope he doesn't listen and somehow gets spoiled, because his birthday's not for like 3 to 4 days.
Oh, okay.
So
you might want to provide, and if you want to provide some context, there is.
It's my son's birthday. I do this for all my kids. If I buy them HeroClix, the worst feeling is when you get some cool HeroClix and it's like, you open a booster and they're all rares, and they're like not great rares. So I try to, when I buy some boosters, I try to peek in them, or like with Avengers 60, if you guys didn't know this, they're very easy to open because they don't use glue anymore. They use the tape. So you could just undo the tape a little bit and just open it, peek in, close it, and seal the tape back. Really, really bad for people looking to try to steal, but great for dads who are trying to look into boosters and be like, okay, I bought 4 boosters. 2 of them had rares. I wanted to make sure he at least got a super rare, and the one I looked in had a King Killmonger, and so I'm like, okay, that's going to be good. And if it's usually a piece I want or something that's worth money, I usually also offer to sell the piece for them because I know they'll probably break it. So I will do the same for him. I will say, listen, you can have your King Killmonger, or I can try to sell it. It's going for like $100 right now, I guess.
Double that.
So I could sell it, and I will give you the money. Like, just, you will have the money to buy whatever you want. That is what my middle child did when he pulled a Unicorn Deadpool one year, and he pulled an Emperor Gladiator the other year too. So like, he got a Switch out of it, like a Nintendo Switch, because he pulled great. And I was like, listen, you're going to just break that unicorn. Like, I know you will. Instead, here's a nice Switch, and he's gotten so much more use out of it. So all you dads out there with young kids with HeroClix, I recommend that's the way you do it, because you could also end up with some good figures for yourself if you want to trade them. But
there'll be one day, Alex, where they'll need that King Killmonger for their own team, and you're trying to put together, 5 sets of MOE chases?
Yeah, I'm hoping when he gets...
Four kids and then yourself, right?
Right. How old was Isaac when he was winning things again?
11.
How old is he today? So
he was like 11, wasn't he?
Yeah, he won the first Rock World Championship with the first one that he won at 11 years old.
So then my son might keep it. He's turning 12.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
he's ready to go. Bring him to Memphis. He's ready to play.
Yeah, getting that 5 sets of MOE is going to be hard.
Yeah, you know what? He could take an extra year before he just starts playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I had it bad enough with just, trying to get Sam and I, really good meta teams. competitive teams. But no, you're gonna have to get 5 sets of that kind of stuff, Alex, soon.
I'll just be like, here, son. Here's this character called Apocalypse. You could play him at 295. And you only need one of them.
Yeah.
And you'll probably be okay. You'll probably do decently well.
That'd be funny, though. Entering all 4 of your kids and yourself into worlds and trying to come up with 5 teams total.
Hey, if I end up being top 4 with me and the kids, how, like, dominating would that be? To be just a top 4 of just one?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a legendary feat, I think.
Dynasty right there. But you know what?
Dynasty, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Sam and I tried to do a legendary feat at Gencon, but weren't so successful. Which is what we're here today to talk about at Gencon, and I want to go ahead and just get my rant out of the way. Pulp annoys me.
Why is that, Daniel?
Good. Thank you, Alex, for doing that, even albeit forced. So on Thursday, I go through my qualifier. I play, competitive event, top tier meta, have a really great fun time. And, so we're recording this on Saturday, but there's been a thread on Players and Collectors about, how do competitive player handle takesy backsies? And pretty much all of the...
Oh, I read a train wreck of a thread.
Yeah. But pretty much all of the players with titles and event wins were saying, yeah, you just take it back and get it done right. They want to see players play at their most optimal and win at their most optimal. It's kind of the consensus from the players that win. So, round 1 of the Pulp event, I sit down. Nice guy so far. I go first. We're on Wakanda. I do some setup stuff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He does the setup thing, and I end up needing to... I'm going to have to blow up a wall and then running shot with Karima. So, I notice I'm 1 square off from my... I did all my movement, and I hadn't done anything else. I was getting ready to go shoot the wall. And I was like, oh, wait. I need to move Forge into a different position. And he was like, well, you didn't say that, but, so he's like, so there was a pause. He's like, but you didn't leave it there. And I'm like, are we going to play that way? He's like, no, you go ahead and move it. And I'm like, mother fricker. The first round of the all-inclusive Pulp competitive HeroClix for every man. Somebody wants to move me into a gotcha because of 1 square of movement. I hadn't even done anything else. No dice were rolled. I hadn't even completed that action, really. And wants to move me into a gotcha. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So, at any rate, he does let me take it back. Moral of the story is, he does let me take it back. And then the point is, his next turn, he has the Common Storm that does the knockback in every direction or whatever. You can choose the direction of the knockback. Well, he moves it back. He does the thing. And I'm like, before he does, he goes and does something, getting ready to do something else. And I'm like, hang on, wait a minute. That Storm only has 5 range, or it was 1 less range than he was out. And I'm like, you need to move her somewhere else. And he was like, okay. All right, that's fine. I'll move her here. And I'm like, just remember. And I told him this. I was like, just remember, if you hadn't let me take that thing back last turn, I would have moved my Karima back and said you were stuck. And he's like, no, man, we're cool. I'll let you take it back. And I'm like, we are indeed cool. And then in like the round, we played what? Alex, you and Jason, you were in there with me. We played 4 rounds, I think. And at any rate, I ended up losing the round. I ended up losing the round by like 5 or 10 points the first one. Then I played Alex. He pulse waved the shit out of my team. Whatever. I lost to Alex. And then
let's not skirt over that real quick. Hold on. Let me bask in that just a little bit. You got party Thord.
Yeah, I did. Whatever. whatever. Pulp annoys me.
Whatever says the guy playing Mr. Sinister and Scarlet Witch with Moira McTaggart.
Yeah, so your pulp meta has completely narrowed to just playing a fuck ton of Pulse Wave. So,
to combat.
It's literally more narrow. It's more narrow than 300 Modern.
Yeah. I'm really sad with how it turned out, to be honest.
Yeah. So at any rate, let me finish my story. Then we can talk about pulp meta for just a moment.
Okay.
So then I go into round 3. Me and the other dude pretty much have no chance of making top 8, which is where we got the Venoms or whatever. And then he goes. He doesn't do it, but he's like, he let out 75% of a statement, like, "Ooh, I'm going to hold you to that," and I just was like, just invisibly, like, just punching air in my whatever. Like, I'm just like, I'm playing the pulp event, and they're freaking like, I run into an almost got you, and then like he almost has got you. Like, to be clear, these things were so pronounced because of all of the rounds of nationals, all of the rounds of states. I played 4 states with like 5 rounds apiece, like so, and then some top cuts. So 20 to 25 rounds of states, 3 rounds of nationals in the qualifier. All this summer, I had never heard a single iota, a whisper of a gotcha, I'm holding you to it moment. And then I play in pulp, and then it just comes out. So, like, it's maybe not that big a deal, and there's probably folks out there that'll say, well, Dan, you should play by the rules and, all this other stuff. And I get it, right? But I will say this. If you want to play that way, it's like wrestling with a pig. Because when you wrestle with a pig, you find out that they enjoy it. So, competitive players, I think competitive players want to have fun and want to make sure it's a game and want to make sure people play it at their best. But by gummy, if you start to hold us to things, and you want to play like a rules lawyer and a gotcha person and a holding you to it, we can do that. It won't be fun for anybody. Unfortunately. But at any rate, that's not a threat or whatever. Don't take it that way, folks. But it's like,
it kind of sounded like it.
It did, but the point is the threat or what? It's not a threat. Just the statement is, go fucking have fun. I did not have fun. Like, that guy just round 1 just instantly zapped it. Was just like, just instantly zapped it. Like, I'm like. And he did, he took it back. Fine. I don't have anything against the guy. Very nice guy. I've talked to him over the years. I've probably done trades with him. I'm not going to mention anybody's names. Don't go try to find these folks. Because they very amicably, didn't hold me to all that stuff. But I'm like, I've never heard a mention of that in years in competitive HeroClix. And so, at any rate, so, Jason, I you and I have practiced locally a bunch with Pulp, and but yeah, I think I'm with you. The meta for Pulp has narrowed further than Modern at this point, going into the World's Pulp event, and it's just play all of the Pulse Wave. There are some very captivating and motivating and neat and unique pulse waving pieces out there, but if your piece doesn't if you're relying on a team without pulse wave, don't do it. Just don't do it.
But how much?
I've had so much fun playing Pulp at home locally, and the Pulp thing at Gencon was the most unfun thing I did the entire time I was there.
So is that a product of Sinister?
Yeah, basically.
Because ultimately, it's like, Pulse Wave inherently right now isn't great. Like, when I was
on the die replacement, it's just what it is.
Yeah, because when I was playing, because my team had access to Pulse Wave, like a lot of Pulse Wave, because I knew that's what I needed to get past Sinister. But when I had to Pulse Wave, I kept thinking, man, I don't want to have to keep Pulse Waving because I'm doing such little damage.
Right.
That stinks. Yeah.
Like, I want to play Hulk. It smashes shit, right?
Right. So
I want smashy pew pew. That's what I want to play when I'm playing Pulp. Pulp's supposed to be like the no bullshit format, right? And it's become the most fucking bullshit.
Right. So what we're trying to say is we're not saying it's all about Pulse Wave because Pulse Wave is good. We're saying it's because Pulse Wave is necessary because Moira McTaggart still exists with Sinister to make it where you can't play Hulk because they just negate what you're doing.
And the Scarlet Witch to a lesser extent.
Sure.
Now, I mean,
But
to be
also
clear,
that-
I played that. I played the Scarlet Witch, Sinister, Moira.
But you played the Pulse. You played against the Pulse Wave, though.
But everybody, yeah, because I played Karima thinking I was gonna, I thought I played Karima and Watcher and all kinds of other cool stuff because I thought I was gonna have to play against Deathstrokes. And
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be all Deathstroke.
And our
There's like
16
no
player
Deathstroke.
and our 16 player pod didn't even have a single Deathstroke in it. So, but it turns out Deathstroke's the play.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about getting Moira, and I get it. It's fine. They built really good teams. I'm not faulting any of the players that won. I think Scott Crampton won our event, and Scott won the other Pulp event at Gencon. I think that's a correct statement.
Scott won both Pulp events.
Yeah. So,
Crampton won both.
Yeah,
And he played Sinister.
He did, and he played
Karima, which Karima's also good,
Karima.
somewhat good against Deathstroke as well. Like I think the thing with the meta is that the meta is still so new with Pulp that we are like overcorrecting to how things work. Like Deathstroke came out hot, like in July, like just really really strong. Same with Blue Marvel, right? Everyone was hyping up Blue Marvel, and then Sinister started peaking back up, and Sinister with Karima is really good. Karima was probably played as much, if not more, than Sinister was because she is by far one of the strongest pieces out there, and because she counters Blue Marvel, she helps against Deathstroke. She's just really good for 75 points because her dial is good the whole time. Like she doesn't dip below like 2 damage or something. She's constantly good. So like her getting Pulse Wave. Okay, she could take a couple Pulse Wave hits, but she's still trucking. She's still going to hit you for 4. I know that from experience because I kept saying, all right, maybe if I hit her one more time. Nope. She's still like 11 for 3. Great. So I think it's one where we're still adjusting. We've gone to at Gen Con trying to counter Deathstroke to the point where no one was playing Deathstroke. And now we're coming back to, okay, Sinister might be more of a problem. Let's bring back more Deathstroke until obviously rotation happens and you lose Moira, which I think will really make Sinister not as effective.
Oh, definitely.
That's
you lose
fine.
some of the other key pieces.
I get that, right? But the next big Pulp event is not post-retirement.
Sure.
It's at Worlds.
Yeah.
So I get that. So and I certainly appreciate your perspective on, the future, and I keep that in mind. But like, I still want to go to Worlds and do a good job at the Pulp event. But I think at this point, on that Friday or Thursday, sorry, not that Friday, the Thursday, I think I'm going to try to play Battle Royals. Is there a slop event on Thursday? I think I'm going to try to play the Exosword slop event.
There's probably both.
Yeah, there's Battle Royals and an Exosword slop event. So I'm probably going to try to play a BR and a Exosword slop. I mean,
if it's going to be full of Sinister Scarlet Witch, I don't care to play Pulp.
Right. Now, I'd like to say there's some really great, I would just like to say, shout out to Stardust. Stardust was really good.
Yeah, I like Stardust.
Yeah.
I will real quick before we wrap up Pulp talk about my team a little bit because I did get 4th in the event, so I didn't do bad. I went 3-1. If I hadn't lost to Joshuaparlin barely in that first round, I feel like I did pretty good. My team did have a lot of Pulse Wave inherently because I played Avengers with Avenger swap with a Fantastic Four swap. So the main team was primarily Blue Marvel, Party Thor, Franklin Richards, Valeria Richards, Doctor Strange, and I think that was it. Falcon.
Yeah.
Definitely Falcon. And so having those three, funny enough, Blue Marvel just kind of felt meh. Like, he was probably one of the worst pieces on my team at that point. The Falcon Party Thor just initial attack is just, I did that. I ultimately found doing that every game. Like, knowing that I probably am giving up 50 points to Pulse Wave, give an action token, and in the case against Daniel, roll doubles, so that way I also knocked everyone back and dealt an additional damage.
Right.
It's just such a good opener in Pulp. So, like, I'm probably playing the same team on Thursday because it just felt really good. I just really needed a lot more practice. The game against Josafa, I just misplaced some of my opening moves that I just left myself open. But that isn't to say that if you're playing Pulp and you want to play Pulp, you shouldn't.
No, I mean,
you should have some access to Pulse Wave just because Sinister does exist.
Can I change? I do. I really did like your team as well, Alex. Just to inflate your ego a little bit more.
Thanks.
It's
I'll
probably
take whatever I could get.
Probably the team I would play. It'd probably be the team I play if I get convinced. I probably will pack it for that Thursday Pulp World Championship because the pricing is pretty decent for it.
Yeah, Franklin is still incredibly good. Being able to choose Pulse Wave, I didn't like. Also being able to choose just Charge Flurry, being able to choose a lot of things on him. But honestly, Valeria is just also still incredibly good.
She's so good.
She is. Let's talk about that for a second. So 300-point Modern Age Pulp team, 64 players, $20. You get Isaac. You don't get prizing until top 8. And you get Batman and Jaro and Old Man Hawkeye. Is Old Man Hawkeye the
someone from last year?
The one from last year.
He came out last year.
Batman and Jaro has been out for a minute.
They came out last year too.
And then
yeah. It's very top heavy pricing.
Yeah, so man, it's like if you want to play all freaking day for that, and it's like, man, I'd rather. Well, that's a rough day.
It's one of those where, kind of like how it was at Nationals, if you go 0-2, it's like if it's a 4 or 5 round tournament, it's like, okay, I'm probably just dropping. I'm not going to play through it to get an Isaac, right? I'll drop, and then I'll have 3 hours to get 2 BRs in. Like, that's realistic, and that's okay. I'm okay with that mindset of, man, I'm just not feeling it. Or, I played, I did poorly. I really don't want to push through for these next 3 rounds to maybe have a chance when I know I can have more fun doing the other stuff. That's perfectly okay. I did that for the Nationals qualifier. I ultimately decided I'm not going to make the top 4. I'm okay with that. Right. I'll just go ahead and drop and just go and play. I went and played a BR, which was great because I got another Thor Gwen out of it. So
yeah, I get
perfectly okay. I think there's a lot. Unfortunately, Nationals isn't posted yet for Pulp on HC units. I probably need to look into talking to Clay about that.
Right.
Because that would be good to have that info up there as well going into Worlds.
Yeah.
But
so I mean, it's like at the end of the day, and so the only other thing I wanted to add was just like, I would say your team doesn't need to have some access to Pulse Wave. Your team needs to have 200 points of Pulse Waving stuff. And then a Falcon, a TK, a Perplex, and a Prob to handle the rest of it.
What I will say is you either need to have, like you just said, or you need to have a counter for Karima. That also has to deal with Sinister.
Yeah.
Because most of these teams has Karima as, hey, this is my main damage. So if you're able to say, okay, I can't take out these Sinisters, I don't have enough Pulse Wave, but I have a way of mitigating Karima a bit, then you're going to have forced the Sinister player to have to start making moves they probably don't want to make.
Yeah,
because they're relying on Karima to go do some things. I don't know how you just plain out do that with Karima unless you just have a lot of like very good at blocking, like making a barrier or something. But
Right. Yeah,
I think
Marvella.
we talked about. Yeah, Marvella's good.
Marvella's good. Mary Jane is good.
Star Sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, don't forget about the paparazzis. They're still Josafa had those. They were the most annoying pieces I had to play against because they were just there all the time.
Well, they're really good with Pulse Wave on your team because you just like double token them up and kill them and make new ones. And
yes, he was able to make Mary Jane do the power action, I think, 4 times.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me in my third round. Joe Ruffing was able to just Stardust his Pogs and do it all, and he kept Karima pretty much in control. Or kept Karima... What am I trying to say? Kept Karima double tokened almost the entire game. So, kind of sucked. Kind of sucked. But...
Yep.
But it's fine. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I'm too much of a Debbie Downer on the whole pulp thing, because I know it's the everyman format and all that stuff, right? I'm not going to, like, yuck anybody's yum here, because everybody's excited about it, but just...
You say it with such a nice voice.
I mean, I'm not insensitive. I get it. It's the everyman format, and you know, I get it. I would say, you know, all the detractors will say, well, now you get to see what real HeroClix is like, Dan. It's like, no, I got to see one of the most narrow metas that I've seen since the Felix Faust D20 days.
If you just get rid of Moira, I think it pretty much makes it way better. But
that's not until after Worlds, so if you'd like to try
I know.
I get it. I know. I'm just saying. So
there could be other pieces people just aren't thinking about or aren't looking at. Like it needs more work, but hey, you know what? Gencon in general, though.
Gencon in general,
one of my most favorite.
Gencon in general went really well for us.
Yeah,
I had fun.
So, we
had the Clixed Off house.
We did. We had the... I was trying to think of where to start, right? So we got up there Wednesday. We had a good supper, checked into the Clixed Off Airbnb, which was really nice.
Fantastic.
Which was really nice to have. And we ate at a good burger place for supper. And then we got up Thursday, went down to the con. Jason, you attempted to qualify on Thursday, and then I did, and Alex, your qualifier was on Friday. So, like I said, I went through my qualifier. I'll just briefly talk about my qualifier. I went in, and I went 2-0 the first 2 rounds. I played Brody from Canada. It was really nice to meet Brody. Appreciated meeting and chatting with him, and then I played against Jackson Smith. I was playing Prime Spider-Man, and I wiped Jackson in round 2. And then round 3, I played TJ Wheeler, and TJ and I were playing the exact same team down to the very last tee, as in we had them copy and paste our build sheets. Like literally...
Clixed Off team member TJ Wheeler.
Yeah, TJ Wheeler, yeah. So TJ and I... Did I say that? Who did I say? PJ or TJ?
You said TJ, but just to clarify...
Oh, yeah, TJ Wheeler, yeah. Sorry. The current team world champion, TJ Wheeler. Team world champion, TJ Wheeler. Yeah, we just made copy and paste of each other's build sheets. So I was playing Scarlet Witch, Masters of Evil, Sicarian Iron Man, Venom Magneto, blah, blah, blah. So I was able to qualify, and then Sam and I played DC deck building. Sam is much better at TCG games than I am, but we did have a good time playing the Injustice DC deck building, so much so that we ended up buying it. So
nice.
Yeah, we bought the
it's fun.
We bought the Kickstarter version, Jason. So we got all the extra.
Oh, you did?
We got all the extra promos and everything. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I know it was super exciting to qualify. Took a big sigh of relief off my out of me, right? Took a big sigh of relief and was able to enter Friday with a lot less stress. So, who else wants to talk about? Let's just do day by day. Thursday, Jason. Thursday.
Well, one other thing we should mention is that the Clixed Off house was us, but we also had some guests stay with us also.
Yeah, we had Jay Solomon, and Jackson Smith.
So it wasn't just purely Clixed Off. We had those two wonderful gentlemen that stayed with us as well. So they made the trip a lot more fun because there's a lot more entertaining talks during night or when we went out to eat and whatnot.
Right. So. Yeah, for sure.
Jason, what about your Thursday, Jason?
Yep.
Well, I got wild hair up my ass to go play Prime Spider-Man and World's Finest that I'd never played before.
Hair up your ass, indeed.
Bad decision in hindsight. I had a really good game against Ken Small. I came a few seconds within beating him. I think if I'd got one more attack in, I think I won. Probably. But he won. Really good game. So then I lost in the first round, and then as my prize for losing the first game, I got to play against Isaac round 2, and I went up to Alpha hit Scarlet Witch, and then I missed one of the attacks, and then I died.
Oof.
Yeah, oof. Missed by one. So that was that, and then I got to play Joe Pangrazio in the third round, and we had a fun game. We were both out of the tournament at that point. So I learned that the Prime Spider-Man does not like to fight mystic pieces that are hard to kill. But we had a fun game. I enjoyed it, and that was all I did. So, yep.
You made it sound like that. You made it sound like that. Well, that's all I did.
You did it on Thursday.
That's all you did on. Well, you had your Lorcana, right? So.
Then I got to play Disney Lorcana, and that was very enjoyable. Got my starter deck, had fun. Yeah. So glad I did that. That was my Thursday. Yeah.
Alex.
Then we had wings that night, so that was good.
Yeah, we did our typical Thursday night Buffalo Wild Wings trip. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was near the Clixed Off house, so that was fantastic.
Yeah. So my Thursday was going into Gencon. I had my attention split to all 3 WizKids games: Onslaught, Dice Masters, and HeroClix, because I wanted to do this challenge that I came up with, a Try Wizard thing, Try WizKids tournament. And so Thursday was mainly my Onslaught day. So I had my qualifier with Onslaught. It was built very much like the HeroClix one, where like top 4 make it to nationals. But Onslaught hasn't been out that long and has not been advertised that much. So there was only 4 of us in the morning qualifier. So I did qualify for nationals for Onslaught. It is a very fun game. If anyone out there is like on the fence about it, it is fun. I mean, I had a really good time on Thursday. I played that qualifier in the morning. Played 3 rounds until we cut it, and then I had, kind of like Jason, I happened into a Lorcana Learn to Play, which I'm eager to play that game too. I'm now like in such a big board game, HeroClix, like I'm just soaking it all in still from Gen Con and afterwards. But I played that Lorcana game, which was a lot of fun. Got my starter deck, and then that evening actually, I had an Onslaught, kind of like a side scenario called To the Death, but I was the only one that signed up for it. So instead of playing it, they were nice and said, listen, instead of going this, like, here's what you would have gotten from playing in it, like you got certain like minis or something. So they were nice to give me that, because I then went and met up with Jason. We like ran into each other at the hall. And so we went to B-dubs early, because you guys were still finishing your your Justice, DC Deck Builders.
DC Deck Building, yeah.
And so we kind of just went through all our Lorcana cards and started sleeving them. I will say, like, at this Gen Con last year, I found myself, like, it was my first Gen Con ever. And so I was kind of bewildered by the whole experience. Like, I just didn't know what to take in. This year, I found myself, like, more, like, I was a lot busier with events, but I found myself with more time. Like, I had more time to explore, like, the dealer's hall. Because I ran through it at least, like, 5 to 6 times. It was odd. Like, it was odd how my time was just better prepared. I don't get why, but my Thursday was, I didn't play any HeroClix on Thursday. That was my point, because I knew Friday and Saturday I would probably be doing, like, my qualifier on Friday and then, like, BRs and stuff. But we ended the night with good food, poor service.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Vito's was good though. It was very tasty.
The Vito's was good.
Yeah.
The food was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so my Friday, I think I pretty much summed up a lot of my Friday with the pulp event. I had, I went to the dealer hall, did some other stuff, but mainly played pulp. And helps support Sam, as Sam played 2 qualifiers on Friday to qualify for nationals. So I'm super proud of Sam for getting in her qualification for Nats and making top 16, which is the best she'd ever done at a major event like that.
Yeah, so, congratulations to Sam.
Yeah, so Sam's won, multiple WKOs and super qualifiers and all that other stuff, but hadn't quite been able to make it over the hill for nationals. So
now, let me ask you guys, for your guys' qualifier on Thursday, did you have drops or people that didn't show?
We had a full 16 players, I think, didn't we?
No, we didn't. No, I think it was Matt Gretchenos and somebody that came.
Oh yeah, Matt and Brandon didn't get to make it in because they had that flat tire.
Yeah, because I think
14.
Yeah, because I think almost every qualifier ended up having openings from no shows, because either they, like you said, they had emergencies or whatever. Because I know in mine, some people didn't show up, and I feel like that was the same for the one Sam got into. Because remember, like, some of the 4 points guys didn't make it into one of them, and they were able to get into the second one.
That's right. Yeah.
Because almost every qualifier just had like just 1 or 2 openings, and they did like a lottery system, I believe is how they did it. But for those that were wondering, like, oh, all of them were full. Yeah, all of them were full, and some people just didn't show. So if this goes around the same way next year, and you just miss out, like you just can't make it, can't get the entry that you want. If you're going to be at Gen Con anyway, you might as well see if you can hop in one of the morning ones. You might have a chance to.
That's right.
Jason, how was your Friday?
Oh, let's see. I started off playing BRs. Played a BR, won a Venom. Played another BR, pulled some crap figures, got a super rare. So that was fine. Let's see, what did I do after that? I played 2. Then I got. I'm sorry, what?
You did pulp with me.
Yeah, I did pulp. That wasn't that great. I prepped for Deathstroke. That was totally the wrong call.
I mean, it was the right call. It was just It was surprising how there was none. Like, I mean, I don't think anybody could anticipate.
Nobody brought it. Like,
which is shocking. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was totally surprised that there was none there at the table. Not a single one. I couldn't believe it. But
yeah,
okay. I guessed wrong. Okay. So that didn't go well. And then I wandered around looking at stuff that afternoon. And then we went. What did we? I don't remember what I did after that. We went and did something.
So we hung. We all hung around and got to do the WizKids fan appreciation that night.
Yeah.
And we went to Kilroy's. I don't think. Did you go to Kilroy's, Jason?
No, I played Injustice that in the evening.
Yeah,
That's
you
what it
played
was.
your
I played
DC. You
Injustice.
played your DC deck building. Sam and I and Alex. Did you go to Kilroy's? No.
No, I'll get to my story in a minute.
Yeah. Then
Yeah, I
then we
played
went to
Injustice.
Kilroy's and ate supper, and then the Wiz
Yep.
did the Wiz Kids fan appreciation, which was
Yeah.
which was great.
Yeah. That was
And
good.
we
I
got to
pulled a
talk.
Kid Thanos, won a booster. Pulled a Kid Thanos. That was good.
I guess it would this be so. Alex, I'll let you finish your Friday and catch up to that, and then I would like to talk about what we did get to talk with the Wiz Kids VP of Games.
Yeah,
about.
no, absolutely. So my Friday morning was my Nationals qualifier for HeroClix. I went in and played my Avengers swap team, which I still feel pretty good about. So for Worlds, I don't know if I'm really going to make much changes. The biggest thing I learned is I was just so underprepared with the team. There were some things slight movements that I just wasn't prepared for. My first matchup was with Jalen's team, which he came in and obliterated my Prime Spider-Man. I was able to kind of battle back a little bit to kind of counter. Like I took out some of his pieces. Like I still had flexibility. Miss Marvel with the blue ring is still great. Like she was able to make a lot of things happen. But it was really my inexperience that led to a lot of it. I went into the second round playing another Masters of Evil team, and Killmonger just hit way too many, like at least 5, I think, rolls. And I know it's a 50-50, but like there was a lot of those rolls. So I ultimately went 0-2, and I wasn't going to stick around for that because I knew in my head 0-2 means I'm not making it. So I ultimately dropped. I felt okay with it because once again I qualified for Onslaught. I had Dice Masters. I was okay with it this go around. So I ended up playing in a BR. I got 1 in. Got a Thor Gwen out of it. Missed out on a Ghost Goblin. I pulled Ghost Goblin, but missed out just barely on getting it. But I'll take the Thor Gwen. That's perfectly fine. But then I played in the Pulp tournament, as we talked about. I went 3-1. Probably could have placed higher if they had actually seeded things right. They found out that the 2 undefeateds going into the last round, which was Scott and I forget who the other person was, sorry. They should have faced each other, and they did not face each other. So going into the finals, when everything was done, we had 2 undefeateds, which shouldn't have happened. But either way, I still got top 4, and I still got a Venom, got a symbiote, so I was happy with it either way. So leaving with a top 4 finish in Pulp and not making it Nationals, I called that a win because I did much better than I anticipated in Pulp. So if I had like washed out of both, I probably would have been disappointed. But I think my Pulp performance kind of made me feel better about HeroClix for the whole weekend, really. Right. And then I went around the dealer hall, and then I met up with Jocelyn and Rob and some of the other Dice Masters players and kind of did a little bit of practice before we went into the fan appreciation event.
Yep. So fan appreciation. So it was very awesome of WizKids to be very open and transparent during that event. I got to have a great conversation with Jake Thice, who's the VP of Games for WizKids, and my summation of the conversation is I conveyed to him that the HeroClix community is very much ready for competitive, organized play to return, and that we would support it, that if there was any way that the community could help, or that myself could help him, help WizKids out with that, that we would be more than happy to do so. The community is eager and ready to return to competitive play, especially with how cruddy the pandemic was. So what he was able to relay to me during the event was they don't have an OP manager currently. Jake was able to say that. There was, several folks standing around when he said that. And so I'd greatly encourage them to have an OP manager or someone assigned to that. I'm pretty sure it's probably not somebody's full-time position, but let's have that returned. And so
it could be, to be honest.
It could be. I understand. I work in corporate America, so I guess maybe the funny part of that is y'all listening to the podcast, and Jason and Alex, y'all get to see my fun side, right? Because I play HeroClix for fun. Let's remind that I play HeroClix for fun, and so you get to see fun Daniel Powell when he plays HeroClix. But I was able to lean on my years of corporate experience to convey to Jake in a very problem. So when you talk to somebody in a vice president role or executive type role, you make sure to relay things to them in a problem and solution manner, because typically folks in that role don't have time to think, to listen to your problem and come up with a solution. They want to
exactly.
They want to hear
100%.
They want to hear your problem and hear your solution in the same sequence of thoughts. So
Ideally, it was just like turning on a switch. You should have seen him.
But piggyback off that, ideally solutions that does not cost them money or time.
Yes.
So if you're conveying a solution to someone as an outside source, typically you want to say, here's the problem, here's the most efficient and affordable method of fixing that.
Yep, you got it. So again, I was able to do that, and I was able to convey to Jake in the best way, with the best words I knew how, to say, hey, let's do a return to organized play. We are ready for it as a community. We will support you. And he gave some positive words that they do intend on doing that. Now, does that mean he didn't say specifically WKOs and that kind of stuff?
Although we did specifically mention
WKOs. We did. Let's be very, we did. Very specifically mention WKOs and that sort of thing. But he didn't say that was coming back. But we very specifically mentioned WKOs. We very specifically mentioned the world's prizing as needing to be improved, and but we were also thankful to him that they have the event in Memphis and how great that ends up being as an event. So you got to be able to thank them and talk about improvements. So, but Jason,
it was nice for him to stop and talk to us on his own. He did that. He just came up and talked to us. We didn't approach him. He approached us.
Yeah, he approached us initially, and then that's why we talked to him. We talked to him. Yeah, exactly. So I think from an organized play perspective, the conversation that I got to have with Jake was about as positive as a conversation as you could possibly have, and but the rest of the presentation went really cool. What do we see? Disney Plus next phase.
Right. So real quick, for those that doesn't follow us on Facebook and hasn't seen the slides, basically to sum up everything that happened in Fan Appreciation, there was a 45-minute delay because they didn't have the right adapter. That's where we got it. Also, outside of Dan and the individual talking, there was basically an open Q&A with Jake about, and some of the other WizKid staff, about basically any questions that they could answer about Onslaught, Dice Masters, HeroClix, all of that.
Right.
By the time they find the adapter, they kept going because it was only supposed to be an hour event. We lasted an hour and a half.
I think they started at 8, and we didn't really walk out of there until 10:30. I think it was closer to 2 than it was to an hour and a half.
It is a 2-hour event. Sorry, it was a 2-hour event, but yeah, it went beyond.
Yeah.
Because they squeezed everything in at once, but we got to hold a lot of the cool figures from Wheels of Vengeance.
The
like they had some of the chases.
the new
Sleipnir.
the new peanut base is not a peanut anymore.
Right.
It's more of a oval. Is that a slice of a cylinder? A slice of a, I don't know my geometry here, but yeah. So that's going to be really cool.
The Ghost Surfer sculpt is like amazing looking. Like I can't express how fantastic a thing looks in your hand.
Yeah.
One big, huge takeaway, and it was a lot of concern of some HeroClix players going into it. You know, last year Onslaught was kind of the big thing coming in. They were talking about it a lot of upcoming, releases for it, and there was concern of, is HeroClix now playing second fiddle? Fan appreciation at Gencon definitely showed the opposite.
Yeah.
There was one slide for Onslaught for an upcoming release called Frogmere. It's really cool. There was no slides about Dice Masters, and then everything else was HeroClix, and it was he went into detail. Someone asked how is HeroClix doing, and believe it or not, he said, from what I remember, he said that the brick releases, those type of things, they're doing how they've been doing. What's really elevated HeroClix up is the Iconics brand. That's what's now making HeroClix so like more profitable. That's why HeroClix is doing so much better, is because now that's reaching a new market. That's reaching people that may not be wanting to play necessarily the game. They're like, oh, this is Wolverine laying down with the picture. That's awesome, and that's a new gateway, because those are selling out before they even get to the stores.
Right.
And so they showed slides. There's a new Iconics every single month until May of 2024, and there's probably one every single month beyond that. So every single month we're getting a new Iconics, and then we are getting a new set basically every 2 months, maybe 3. So it is definitely, we kind of went into Gen Con a little concerned about the future. We felt good about how states went, but that fan appreciation really kind of showed where WizKids is definitely committed to HeroClix in general, whether or not you want to say for competitive. There's so many sets coming out. We know of 4. We know, of course, Notorious. We know of Wheels of Vengeance. We have Disney Plus Next Phase. If you see just Next Phase, that's it. For whatever reason, they don't have Disney Plus in the branding. They just say Marvel Next Phase.
Yeah, but essentially it's D+2.
Right. And then we have the Deadpool Weapon X set,
right,
which they emphasize talking about. It's a lot of duo figures in that. And the big picture was like Wolverine and Deadpool, not holding hands, but, but yeah, like after that...
well, they said that there's also a unnamed DC set.
Yes, they put fears aside of everyone saying, well, I mean, it doesn't change the fact one DC set a year, but it does alleviate, because DC is always the one everyone's like, well, when are we going to get another one? There is definitely, they've said there's one coming. It's going to be after the Deadpool Weapon X one. And I remember someone did ask about, like, well, when are we going to get colossal figures, bigger figures for DC? And they didn't confirm it, but they said they were definitely on board with it. They seemed very receptive of, like, things that they are very much looking at what is succeeding in sets, what is causing maybe sets to sell better, what is just working better, and they try to start adding that to each set or try to make it work both ways. It was the Q&A was very, very useful. It should have happened a lot sooner.
Right.
But it was great. I remember leaving Fan Appreciation feeling great for HeroClix, not so great for Dice Masters, like really bad for Dice Masters. And I felt better for Onslaught after I talked to the business manager after the meeting. But what's funny is we saw all that we saw, knowing that Worlds is around the corner, when they have another Fan Appreciation where they typically show more information. And they alluded to that a little bit, that there is a lot of stuff they can't, say yet. but it's probably going to be at Worlds to release and show or be in the cabinet, that we see and take pictures of with no dials or whatever. So it was exciting.
Yeah, I thought so. Very good fan appreciation event. So then we went. So we can. So I want to probably skip Saturday for the moment and then talk about Sunday. Sunday was the first time Jason, or at least Jason, it was the first time I had ever played on Sunday.
On Sunday.
And Sunday at Gencon. And that was a very fun and a great time to do so. So I played in the the theme event that was Silver Aged, and had a just grand old time doing it. Ended up getting second, due to, I don't know, me playing a fun team, if such a thing exists, and did that and had a good time. Congrats to Josiah for winning that one. And Jason, you played 4 BRs and had a grand old time doing that.
Yep, I did. I always enjoy BRs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, first time I stayed all day on Sunday in years.
Yeah. I mean, we had a really good time staying all day on Sunday. That was surprisingly so.
Yep, I wish I could have stayed, but I needed to get home, so it's a 6.5-hour drive for me. So for me, and I had to work on Monday, I left pretty early in the morning and headed on back home, and I made it back at a pretty good time, like 4 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah. We made really good time too, even considering.
Yeah.
I mean, we were back by like 4 p.m.
Well, that was Central Time. Alex is on Eastern Time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys live, what, like, how far of a drive is it for you?
Like 2.5.
Half hour.
Yeah, 2.5, 2.5, 3 to my house.
Yeah.
Saturday, top 16 of world or nationals. And I'd like to go ahead and just point this out. Eric Adams, how many "I told you so's" did Daniel Powell give out on the ride home after warning about Prime Spidey? I feel like
0.
Well, it was just Jason and I in the truck. I feel like I only need to say one, right? Like, so we went into that episode a couple episodes ago. Like, I broke down all the stuff that Prime Spider-Man does. And guess what? Prime Spider-Man fucking won nationals. Congratulations to Alex Mater for a fantastic job going through the national championship. I think he qualified on Friday or Saturday and was completely undefeated the entire event. So big ups to Alex. He's out of South Dakota. We will be having him on the show as soon as we can get our schedules lined up. He's not a Facebook person, so I do have him on Discord, and I'm able to communicate with him. But he's a busy person, just like most of us are, coming back from one of these events. All of the top 16 is on hcunits.net. Notable things
Don't forget.
What? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, don't forget Mission Points made the final.
Well, I was going to get there. I was just going to say notable things from the top 16. Mission Points made second place. Congratulations to LTVH. And out of the 8 of the 16 teams, 8 of the 16 teams included Scarlet Witch.
How many teams in the finals had Scarlet Witch?
0.
0.
0. She's fine then.
Yeah.
This is the first time she's not won a major event in 2 years.
Well, a year. She's only been out for,
Well, in 2 separate, 22, 23, right? Since she's been out.
Yeah. So, but there was 8 of them, and half the field was Scarlet Witches. So, talking about going into Worlds, Scarlet Witch, she's really good. We've been saying it. You know, but you know what? I did get to talk to Brian Gailey quite a bit. You know, a lot of folks did. Very much appreciate Brian being active at the booth, or being active out there at the play area. He did a wonderful job listening to the whole community, you know, participating with us, and listening to our complaints and stuff. And I was like, Brian, look, and I say this a little bit jokingly. This is what I told Brian. I was like, Brian, I say this a little bit jokingly. Scarlet Witch was half of your top 16 for this event. Thanos was not this much at Worlds, was not this much at other events, and he got hit with the band hammer, the errata hammer, fucking twice. Now we're going into a Worlds where, by the way, Scarab still exists, Scarlet Witch still exists, Prime Spider-Man's a thing, because he can auto-equip that Necro Sword. Again, I go back to the previous round of equipment was not appropriately costed to be auto-equipped. Things like billy clubs and symbiotes, those things were appropriately powered and costed to be auto-equipped. Necro Sword was not. So what did I say? Prime Spider-Man, Scarlet Witches, and guess what? LTVH cracked the code on mission points. He almost won nationals with mission points.
We hit the tipping point on mission points now.
Huh?
Have we hit the tipping point on mission points now?
We did. And let's be clear. So Jason and I talked about this. Now, I watched Lucas's games. Dial H for HeroClix recorded his top 4 in finals game. Now, his team does not require as much interaction, requires less interaction with a team than Thanos did. Now, Lucas might tell me that I'm wrong if he listens to the episode or whatever, but no, I mean, at the end of it all, he still played Judgment, post-errata, still played Judgment. If he flips his cards, he does his perplexes, he does his healings, none of that requires it. And then his other mission point cards were based on, I'm going to look it up here real quick, were based on what? Perplexes and outwits. Let's look it up.
He had Queen of Pentacles, 8 of Swords, Queen of Cups, 3 of Wands, and Judgment. Queen of Pentacles can only move in direct paths.
Yeah, that was the one that...
Smoke Cloud was 8 of Swords.
Yeah, so he had on his team Darkseid with the Darkhold, so he forced, knockbacks characters to gain mission points. So that's a big one. That's a pretty straightforward deal. So that doesn't require much interaction, right? You just knock them back. And you could do that with regular attacks. And Darkseid goes through elevated and characters. Then you had the Indigo one, who's the healing one, gains mission points with healing. She's doing that up and down. The Watcher, right, is the fella that can get the healing going on with himself. And then Frogman doesn't have to interact with the opponent other than being close to him. Just force blasts them. Gains mission points for Darkseid, right? At least I'm thinking that, right? If at least one character gain 1 mission point. Does Frogman gain mission points some way with Darkseid? Is that the interaction?
He does all the knockbacks, right?
He does knockbacks.
I don't know if he does it to his own people though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does Frogman gain mission points for when a friendly character?
No, Frogman doesn't have anything with
he does. Here it is. When a friendly character knocks back one or more opposing characters, if at least one character they knocked back hasn't been knocked back this turn, gain 1 mission point. So Frogman gains mission points for Darkseid.
Okay. Yeah, Frogman itself doesn't have mission points.
That's right, but Frogman gains them for Darkseid.
Right. He gains them by knocking back opposing.
That's right. and then Prime Batman is just a really good piece. Barrier, Smoke Clouds, carries the team. Pretty sure he has the Green Lantern team ability. Yeah, he does. Construct, Stop Signs. Let's be clear, Lucas's team also did a whole bunch of good work with the other mechanic in Modern that's kind of busted. That's Mission, or fucking Stop Signs. And then the last one was the Riddler. That was one I wasn't too familiar with. So, Perplex, but can be used regardless of line of fire. When the Riddler uses to target opposing characters after resolutions, give that character a puzzled token. When a character within range with a puzzled token would be targeted by Perplex, roll a d6. Remove puzzled tokens. 2 through 4 gain 1 mission point for each puzzled token on that character. 5 through 6, the use of Perplex has no effect, and gain 1 mission point. So we had the Sinestro Core Ring on Frogman, so there was his 1 Perplex. Riddler has Perplex. Now I'm just kind of looking for all the Perplex pieces on his team. Darkseid had the Dark Hold, so he could use Perplex. The Watcher can use Perplex with regardless of line of fire. So that's a thing. So did one of his do any of the tarot cards gain mission points from Perplex? No, they don't, do they? So the only tarot card that was going in there was Judgment. At least according to HC units. I thought there was a Perplex one. Isn't there a tarot card with mission points that deals with Perplex?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. You might be thinking of like mystery cards that deal with Perplex.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Well, you're thinking with a double Perplex, page of wands or whatever it is.
No. Hold on. This is a good time to talk about all this. This is the main beef, or not the main meat of our episode. So, I'm pretty sure there's a tarot card. Like when an opposing character uses Perplex, gain mission points.
I don't think it is.
If it's one, it would probably be in the X of Swords, not the OP. That sounds like something we had early on and didn't use. I feel like a lot of those ones were in the original set.
Perplex is what, wands? There's people screaming, by the way, in their mics right now listening to this, saying,
Violence attack rolls doubles, gain a mission point. That was the Lovers.
So the Lovers was an Arcana.
When a character attacks, that controller gains a mission point for each time attack. Reroll by an opposing attack. That's one. Of course, Judgment. We know what that does.
It probably. I don't think there is.
When a standard character breaks away, that character's controller gains a mission point. That's Temperance.
Okay, maybe they're
you're talking about it's the moon when an opposing character uses Perplex.
That's what it is. Point. They're all They're all Arcanas. They're not.
Major Arcana. Yes.
Yeah, they're not in the regular suites. So that's why.
Yeah. So you would have to play a second set of all the ones to play the second one, right?
Did he play the moon?
No,
he played Judgment.
He just played Judgment. So that's why he didn't play those other Arcanas. Was just he wanted to make sure the Judgment's probably the most reliable one.
Because your opponent could just choose to not use Perplex.
That's right. To
help your case.
But yeah, if they were just in the regular suits, then that would make more sense to play them, right? But I mean, Lucas was a map roll away, so Lucas lost initiative and was put on a short map. And then his tarot cards were pulled in the wrong order. Whatever, it's random. So they didn't come up in the order that he needed. And he had some bad rolls, but he still got up to 10 mission points before Prime Spider-Man just went yeet.
Yeah, so to back up, so I was looking at what it says on HE units for the top 16 of the tournament. To back up some of the numbers, there were only 5 switches in top 16.
That doesn't sound right, but...
there was TJ and you.
Yep.
Sam.
Yep.
So you make up 3 of them.
Yep.
Ken Small.
Yep.
And Isaac. And that was it.
Okay, so maybe there wasn't 8, there's just 5. I mean, but still, I mean,
yeah,
that's
it's a difference from half the field to a third of the field.
That's a commanding majority when it comes to the number of.
Well, let me counter that by also saying what other pieces were played most. Obviously, Sarkarian and Iron Man saw the most play at 9 out of top 16. Mephisto comes in next at 8. As does Masters of Evil Chases. If they had a Masters of Evil that was swapping, I counted that. So those kind of went hand in hand. They saw 8. Half the field played Mephisto and Masters of Evil.
Yep.
7 Venom Magnetos were played. 6 Carnage Silver Surfers. That's 6 individual teams. Isaac had 2, I believe.
I don't think that was Isaac's build. Isaac played Prime Spider-Man, so I don't know if
he tried to qualify against in the first one with Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, he played Prime Spider-Man, so I think they got the wrong build for. You know what?
He switched.
I'm sure he switched. So most everybody played their same team, and
so he switched to what? Just Prime?
Prime Spider-Man MOE.
Okay, so that's 1 less Scarlet Witch.
Right.
And 1 more Mephisto and MOE, potentially?
Right. So, I would say my point is, we're still entering a Worlds meta with Scarlet Witch. Now, the Scarab deal. You're going to say, well, Scarab didn't make top 16. Well, PJ and Adam played the meme team that we had come up with for Indiana States, and they just hadn't played it before. Adam almost qualified, so did PJ. I am probably looking at playing the 4 Scarabs with Commissioner and Giganta, like Adam played for Worlds. It just is.
Man, that's going to be fun.
Boy, it sure is. You know what? I was waffling back and forth with PJ, and at Nationals, and you know what he said to me? He said, "Dan, you don't have to move." And I said, "Boy, that does sound like fun. Just outwit everything, start blasting, knocking it back, making rookie, just outwitting through Power Cosmic, knocking them back, shooting them for 1, pinging them, mind controlling through everything except for characters with the radioactive clay." It does, Jason, but it just does sound like fun. My point is, in all of this,
I meant that sarcastically. Yeah.
I'm also providing a small layer of sarcasm here too, just to be clear. The point is, rotation should have happened before Worlds, and if rotation is going to be deep, like we've theorized, like we said, D plus, is going to be the last set out, right? X of Swords would be the oldest set in Modern. We've theorized that, a few episodes ago. That's fine. Just make September 1st rotation right before Worlds. So it's X of Swords and newer. And man, all of this just feels a whole lot better. Now there is a ton of...
Does it?
You get all your powers.
Yeah, sure it does.
Oh gosh, yes, Alex. Yes, you get all your power. Like, look, I played Scarlet Witch. I just erased powers and fucking blasted stuff. You know how good it is when you're just like What's your
No, because I've never
what's your,
played Scarlet Witch before, Dan. I have no idea how
yeah.
good Scarlet Witch is. I didn't do well and got top 8 at last year's Nats with Scarlet Witch. Oh, wait, yeah, I am fully aware how great she is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great to just
I'm
do
saying
that.
Currently she's a necessary evil.
Against what?
Masters of Evil and Mephisto. Who
Wait a minute.
Took...
What are they doing that's like so oppressive?
Now, I would
her?
like, yeah, and I just want to go ahead and just say Masters of Evil, almost a must play.
Yeah, over
very,
half the field.
Very strong. Super duper incredibly strong. But guess what? All of those pieces allow you to use your powers, allow you to play the game.
Yeah.
They're just very, like, I don't want to hear any hate on my boy Sakarian Iron Man. He's just a really fucking good piece. He doesn't strip your powers. He doesn't win. He doesn't win without interacting. He doesn't outwit through your power cosmic. He lets you have your powers. And so all of that, I want to just answer Jason's question. What is a necessary evil of Scarlet Witch?
You said you were going to answer Jason's question.
No. I said you're going to we want to hear
your
answer.
Me.
Your answer,
Yes.
Alex. Yes.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. She's a necessary evil because 300.8 POC still exists. There are still a lot of pieces that have a lot of powers. That there needs to be power erasers to a degree. If she goes, then some of these other pieces need to go. That's all I'm saying. I'm fine with her going. I'm worried that we are emphasizing how dangerous she is and not emphasizing how dangerous some of these other pieces are. So saying, yes, let's let her rotate, sure, but we are walking now into a meta that's probably the smallest we've had ever because we're knocking out pieces before they technically should be going. And we're going to enter a world with just the Carnage Silver Surfers, Masters of Evil, and Mephisto, who is already dominating the meta, even with these power erasers that do help counter them. Scarlet Witch right now is still strong, but Spider-Man does counter her because he just ignores, thanks to the Necro Sword, which we need to talk more about. I know it's great on him. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, like, he is kind of a good counter for her because he kind of just kills her unless you defensive runes, which not a lot of people do what you do, Dan, effectively.
No, let's just be clear. Folks that have watched my streams and stuff know how to defensive rune. And by the way, if you're listening to Clixed Off, if you're one of our normal hundreds of listens, just if Scarlet Witch maintains her current level of power, defensive rune, negative zone. You don't have to worry about that Prime Spider-Man. I didn't lose to a Prime Spider-Man all of Nats. As a matter of fact, I didn't lose to Prime Spider-Man, except I lost to one with the X-Men team. I lost twice to one with the X-Men team. With Scarlet Witch, though, I've never lost to a Prime Spider-Man. It doesn't happen.
Then I might be wrong then. I mean, she didn't. There was only 5 of them, and none of how many made top 8? I don't know what the top 8 placement was.
Of what?
Nationals.
Top 8 was Alex Mater, Lucas Tom Van Hollen, Isaac Berkowitz, Knight White. Some of this is
like
way
I know
out of
top
order.
4. I don't know the other 4.
Yeah. TJ, Robert.
Okay.
Sorry, you made me lose count. Alex, Lucas, Isaac, Nate.
There's 2 more after TJ and Robert.
TJ, Robert. I know Calder. Let me say. So I know who didn't. Daniel didn't. Sam didn't. Ken didn't. Jackson didn't. Alyssa didn't.
Was it Jalen and Josapha?
I want to say John Burgess didn't make it either. And Calder didn't. So it had to have been Jalen and Pat.
Pat was on Prime Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he was.
And Jalen, I don't know what Jalen was playing this time.
He was on X-Men.
He was Tyrant. Yeah, he was on Tyrant.
Still on Tyrant.
Masters of Evil.
Yeah, he was on, but he was playing with Saki. His team on HC Units he had updated it to play with Saki and swap in Jubilee if he needed to. It wasn't all in Tyrant. So,
I guess I'm just curious, like, why there wasn't as many Scarlet Witches.
There was
Prime Spider-Man's not the counter. There was, and 3 of them are us. So, okay, you yell 5. That's 5 out of 16. There are teams with a lot more of these other pieces, so it's not as if Scarlet Witch was a majority. That's what I'm trying to say.
Prime Spider-Man.
If we're saying that
Prime Spider-Man, the majority of Prime Spider-Man's ability to be played really well right now is the fact that he has a Necro Sword available to him. If Prime Spider-Man doesn't have the giant reach and the ability to ignore all rollouts, right? I mean,
well,
he doesn't.
You get 1 through Impervious.
Yeah, you get 1 through Impervious, and King Killmonger is still a thing. But yeah, it's insane,
right? And so that's my thought. So if rotation happens, as if we're talking, like it goes through Disney Plus, Prime Spider-Man is nerfed into the ground because he really requires the all black. He could still be good, but not nearly as effective. So we could say he's good, but he's maybe not top tier unless something new comes out at this point.
I mean, he's still probably top tier.
But I don't know how effective he is if he can't get through super senses shape change, especially Spider-Man related super senses.
Yeah.
So that leaves us with, if you look at all the pieces that are on these teams, top 16, that leaves us with APOC, Iron Silver Surfer, and the MOEs.
Which is fine. All of those pieces allow you to...
That's
all those pieces,
fine?
All those pieces allow you to play the game. None of them stop you from doing anything. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
To me, those things are all fine.
Okay, sure. I guess this is the reason why I'm actually kind of okay with not having a lot of big tournaments come October, November, because it's like, if we're just stuck with this and then whatever Notorious brings us, like, that's just going to feel like going to be a pain. Like, if it wasn't already aggressive, it's just going to be even more aggressive, because you could just do whatever you want.
Smashy pew pew. That's the way it's meant to be.
Sure.
Very much.
HeroClix wasn't made to be played. HeroClix wasn't made to be played when you have a blank dial.
Not since Infinity Challenge.
And that's what you get when you have Scarlet Witch, a blank dial.
Okay.
And yeah, and Alex, at the end of the day, like, I don't want to just, I mean, we're here on the Clixed Off podcast, and we're talking about the Clixed Off team members, what all we played. Yeah, guess what? We are pretty good HeroClix players, last I checked, not to pat ourselves on the back, but yeah, we took 3 of the 5 Scarlet Witches to top 16 of Nats.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand what the problem is with stuff that, like, doesn't.
All right. So
all I want to say is, like, I want to make sure when we're going into Worlds and we're talking to our listeners that we don't somehow not emphasize how dominant Mephisto and the Masters of Evil are. So, like, I think we talk about them. That's what we need to focus on, because you're right. Scarlet Witch. No. She does crazy things.
I want to talk about it in a different way.
Okay.
So you're approaching it as a kind of ignore Scarlet Witch because MOE is more prevalent. Well, no, that's the problem. MOE is a 80-point support engine that is one of the most efficient support engines that HeroClix has ever seen.
They made Scarlet
Witch better. The 80 points of MOE is your support engine.
Okay.
So that's different than saying they are. The problem is that they are supporting Prime Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, by making them yeet machines more so than they already are.
Sure.
So yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the note going in the Worlds for MOE. Play them. They're really good. But they're not keeping your opponent from playing the game. They're support pieces. Now, yeah, did I attack with
It's
my
tertiary attacker.
tertiary attackers, right? So, Scarlet Witch keeps you from having powers.
Yeah, we've said that multiple times.
Yeah.
I think what I was trying to say more along the lines is we've been dealing with Scarlet Witch for a long time. We need to start talking more about how we deal, sure, with Scarlet Witch with MOE. They don't necessarily enable her. Like, that's Angler and a bunch of stuff. Like, how do we handle teams where it's like, okay, maybe I can handle the Sky Tyrant. Maybe I know how to handle the Scarlet Witch or the Prime Spidey. But that core of Mephisto and MOE is on every team. Like, how do you handle that?
The problem is, that's like saying, go attack the hooker on the hooker bomb before you attack the pulse waver. The problem is that if you say, go focus on the MOE chases and how to deal with them, how you deal with the MOE chases, you just fucking attack them. They're just normal-ass pieces for the most part. Like, King Killmonger does his thing, but if you're not equipped, King Killmonger is a piece with 18 impervious.
Yeah, they have 6 clicks.
They have 6 clicks. Mephisto has his shape... Mephisto's not even a good target to even go after because he's got shape-changing senses and prob. So, like, you don't want to go attack him in either way. That's, like, the last thing you want to attack.
You need to eliminate the shifters first, that way.
That's right. So
you do kill Mephisto, they can't bring him back.
But guess what?
By just shifting their pieces.
Do not... my typical advice would be, do not try to bypass killing or KOing the Prime Spider-Man, the Sky Tyrant, the Scarab, the Scarlet Witch, in lieu of attacking the 50-point switch-out piece.
Right. A majority of the time, you're not able to get up to outside of Scarlet Witch, right? Because she drops a room. They're not bringing all the MOE pieces up there.
So let's to be clear. But Scarlet Witch, Prime Spider-Man,
Sky Tyrant,
Carnage Surfer, they all get across the map right now.
Sure.
Nobody need Prime Spider-Man. Golly, what was it, Jason? We had looked at him. He gets across a 16 by 16 map almost on his lonesome. Almost on his lonesome.
A four square TK is all you need for sure.
Well, and I don't even.
It's an elevated terrain.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to look at a regular map here. He starts in 1, sidesteps to 3, wall crawlers to 7, charges to 5, charges to 12, giant reaches into 14. So, Prime Spider-Man with a Necro Sword gets to square 14 all on his own. So you don't even need a TK if you have 2 perplexes.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
So yeah, and Alex, I'm not trying to be too, like, crazy here, like Emmanuel said that we were going to be. But MOE is just there. That's like saying, golly, like, Fast Force's Jean Grey was a really good piece. Well, she just did the TK thing. Or, like, go attack Venom Magneto. He's the free TK guy. The MOE stuff is just a support engine. And they're supporting these crazy guys. And also...
keep your other pieces going constantly.
Right.
Going.
And then the other thought was 300 point... You mentioned 300 point APOC. 300 point APOC's really good. I get that. One thing takes him out. Just make sure you have a ring bearer, stop sign, and you just attack him with your non-equipped pieces. Because you're...
Yeah, I guess I should have switched that and said more of like the multiple APOC team as opposed to full APOC. That's kind of what I was leaning more towards. When I said full point, my mind immediately said, "Yo, bro, the stop sign still exists," and I was like, "Yeah, I really meant like Robert Gallagher's type team, where it's just."
Oh yeah, Robert's team is fantastic.
Yeah,
but to be clear, Robert's team is really great. I'm glad Robert has moved to Ohio from Florida, or from California. It's been really great to play with Rob. Very inventive team builder. Rob's team ran, boom, smack dab into mission points. Rob avoided Scarlet Witches. Carnage Silver Surfers eat that team up as well. So, like, Rob's team's really good, But stuff that's staying post-retirement is also still just really good against multiple APOCs.
Okay. So going forward, I know we had talked about this before. For King Killmonger, are we no longer trying to roll with something not equipped?
Yeah.
Oh,
If you have the
Definitely do
flexibility to. Not all teams have the flexibility. But
Yeah, definitely do that.
because that's what I'm ultimately trying to boil down to is like we know, like you said, they're a well-oiled support machine. For the most part, outside of Prime Spider-Man, which we've talked about a lot, we know how most of these pieces they're throwing at us work. We know how Sky Tyrant works. We know how Scarlet Witch works. We know how Saki works. Like, we know they're running at us with a well-oiled machine. What the listeners may not know going into Worlds, maybe they just listen through us, is how to handle that with the massive support, because they do add a layer of protection for some of these pieces that your usual methods of handling Scarlet Witch or handling Saki, Sky Tyrant, whatever, may not work because of King Killmonger, because of the fact that these pieces just heal every turn and remove tokens every turn because they're swapping out and because of Mephisto. Those are the things I wanted to emphasize more, because those are the things that they're going to see at Worlds. Is they're going to see the well-oiled machine, and they'll say, hey, I know how to handle, I got a plan for Switch, I got a plan for Sky Tyrant, but maybe they don't have a plan for this machine that just doesn't let up. And sure, they're just the support, but they can also turn into not the support.
I get that.
And if they're they turn around and be the offensive weapon once their piece dies. Like, a good team would be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I want to emphasize that more, because that is the majority of the meta we saw at Nats was that well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure we pointed that out.
We do, and I appreciate pointing that out. But the well-oiled machine is making things that don't allow you to play the game even better. That's my whole point. Is like, don't be distracted by I appreciate your point there, Alex. But like, my point is, don't be distracted by the support engine when the other things are way more oppressive to you. But yeah, I think we've reached the point where Prime Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, all of that with MOE, your Sky Tyrant, your Scarabs, the things that we've seen the past 2.5 years are really good. And now we've reached a tipping point to where mission points can win using stop sign, using other non-interactive functions to win on turn 3 without making an attack in a very consistent manner. Lucas has proven that at this point.
Yeah, that seems bad.
Oh yeah, he had the Peacemaker thing too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was inevitable with WizKids adding more and more mission points, like more pieces around it. It was inevitable that this was going to happen. And once again, kudos to Lucas for finding the one that fit the best. Mm-hmm. Like, that takes a certain level of, like, I could definitely not even fathom coming up with that, because it's just mind-boggling trying to take all these random pieces to make work, right? To do mission points consistently enough to win with. So
yeah,
it's awesome. I mean, do we think it's going to survive? I mean, I think it'll survive from, like, to Worlds. I don't think they'll make a change before that.
Here's the thing, right? Like, so we say all this stuff, right? I don't think anything's going to happen before Worlds. The gauntlet has been set. We get to see what happens at Canadian Nats. I know we got a request to review the Mexican Nationals team. We've got some more episodes to do. We're going to try to have the Mexican Nationals winner on the show and talk about his team. But the gauntlet's set. And guess what? It's the same gauntlet it's been for a while. Scarabs, Scarlet Witches, now it's a Prime Spider-Man, and now it's Mission Points.
Let me ask you guys.
I don't think
like
it
is mission points. How many people do you think could pull it off like Lucas did?
I mean, obviously we know Lucas is a very good player. There are also other very good players that could play it well.
I am thinking, like, just out of the box thinking, I think this is the best Mission Points are potentially going to do. Now that we have seen what it could do, people might start trying to counter it a little bit more. Not that there's easy counters, but maybe they'll change up some things for it.
The problem is that there's 3 stop signs that come out. Turn 1, if he gets to choose map, you go to Morlock Tunnel. There are tweaks that need to happen. And obviously, like Watcher being the big thing that needs to retire. The Post Worlds, right? That may not make it survive, but there are other pieces that you can heal. That Wolverine from X of Swords, you can heal. I think, is it X of Swords? The starter Wolverine?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that requires a little bit more finesse to be able to do. Probably still able to get it done. So yeah.
You know who would make it stop? There's an old magical man that helped King Arthur with his sword.
So the thing is I don't think this Mission Point team uses that many free actions.
You did say 3 constructs.
But they just make those turn 1.
So for free actions? So 3 of them?
Yeah, then they don't have to take that free action in again, and they have a leadership on the team. I think.
Sure, but that's 1 turn that they only have 1 extra free action to do stuff.
That they're not using. They're usually usually the turn 1 is 3 actions, 3 frees to make the stop signs, and then power action heal with Indigo 1, and then 3 power action barriers. There's literally no free action to use. Unless you want to use...
I mean, we don't have to delve too deep into this. I'm just curious how many free actions are taken for this chain to work, with like the healing and the knockbacks and all of that.
So
I'm curious in my head. Once again, we don't have to go through it right now.
I get it.
But
So
it's just a thought for me.
I don't think there's very many, Alex, because I mean that's what I'm saying. Turn 1 is the most that they take to make the constructs. Then Watcher has the shot gauntlets on him, so that's an 8 range power action force blast. And then I think the biggest one is the perplexes. But that's typically after a carry. So that would be 1 free action from Ridman, 1 free action from Frogman, 1 free action from Darksuck, and then the free action sidestep from Frogman. So there's where your 4 would go that turn.
And forgive me for not hearing this correctly. The team, does he get a lot of mission points on his own without interacting with you, or does he still have to interact with knockbacks?
So the healing thing can keep going.
Right.
So that can happen almost every turn.
Mm-hmm. It is limited, obviously, but it's still... you still have a finite amount of turns if you just try to sit in the back and not let time run out. That's not going to work because he could still make mission points on his own.
Right.
But he does require some interaction.
There's going to be the interaction being... So what I call interaction is interaction with your opponent is I declare an attack. You get to roll your shape change, super senses, and there's 2d6 rolls. I think, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong here, that's fundamentally the game of HeroClix.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so otherwise, the mission point team gets carried up, free action knocks you back, free action perplexes you down, and then the next turn it's power action, force blast, or whatever, then sidestep, force blast. So those things don't interact. I mean, you get a chance to attack it. There's no doubt.
Right. I'm sorry. I meant like his pieces interacting with mine. Force blast is still an interaction. Like he's still doing something to my pieces. He's not chilling in a corner, building up mission points, and winning turn 2. Right? Like how Judgment was before they fixed it. Right? With all the healing version of it only. This is still. He is able to utilize that, but emphasize more of, hey, he gets out of knockbacks to gain mission points faster. He still interacts as opposed to hiding, like some of the versions was before. That's more of the reason why this version won't necessarily be like eroded out of existence like the healing one was, because for it to work fast, like to be done in like so few turns, he has to come out and start knocking people back.
Well, though, to be clear, though, I mean, he can do that, right? But if you can't bust through the stop sign with the big terrain pieces, right, then he's just going to watch or knock you back.
Sure.
That doesn't require an interaction.
Okay.
I mean, he can do that from 8 to 11 squares away.
So knocking me back, though, is an interaction. He is interacting with my pieces. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I get what you're saying. There's no rollouts. Like, there's nothing I can do to stop it. Well, there are, but there's nothing I could do to stop it. But he's still interacting with me. He's still doing something to my pieces.
That's you know what? I'm glad you put it that way, Alex. Because. So here's the thing, and it'll be a little bit of a laugh, and y'all are going to moan and groan. I get it. I'm already prepped for that. Guess what? Thanos interacted more with your pieces than this team does.
I mean, Thanos took, like, I would say it's about equal. I mean, I guess he has to roll an attack. I guess that's what you're trying to say.
He has to roll an attack. He can't win by just sitting in the corner. Has to make attack rolls. Has to get within range of your pieces. Has to get closer. Yeah.
I mean, that's what he has to do to knock people back, but yeah.
Yeah, but so, like, same thing. To knock people back is less of an interaction than Thanos blasting through everything or mind controlling through everything.
Sure.
So, are we just going to be okay? Are we just going to be okay with that?
Oh my goodness. Why does everything have to come back to Thanos being nerfed?
Because they nerfed him, but they don't take care of all these non-other interactive things. But my point of all this is, we're going into worlds with these non-interactive game elements. And
you keep saying non-interactive. It is interactive.
Less interactive than Thanos.
Okay.
And
I feel like we need a chart.
Yeah. Is it more interactive or less interactive than Thanos? Mission Point Team is less interactive than Thanos.
I haven't seen the Mission Point Team get played, so
I mean, Dial H for HeroClix has the two matches up. You're welcome to watch it.
Yeah, all this talk is just solidifying the fact that now Frogman's going on my sideline.
Yeah, I get that. So, like
Frogman's a direct counter.
Like Rob's team, right? Like you were talking about all these multiple APOCs. Rob's team is really great. Guess what? Rob didn't make a single attack against Lucas's team.
Sure. Because his team is more of, he wants you to attack them. Like, he wants you to attack him.
Well, yeah.
Like, he can make some, like, sure, his team is built with Lucas's team being a hard counter. He just there wasn't an anticipation that Lucas's team would exist and work as well as it did.
Right, but I mean, like,
There's nothing wrong with team.
Rob's team.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
Rob's team can put out a ton of attacks. Like, Rob's team just doesn't sit there and say, well, are you going to swing at me? No, it goes in like phase attack, phase attack, phase attack, charge flurries,
Sure.
all this other stuff, right? It's making attacks. Like, sure, it's super defensive, but, like, mission points, Rob didn't get to make an attack. He moved up. He pressed the full map as far as he could go and couldn't get there fast enough before 20 mission points were acquired.
But there's nothing... sure. I mean, I get it. But he also didn't build the team with this being a possibility. Now, if he was thinking of it forward, and now that we all know that this could have been a possibility, we probably all will build our teams differently. There's nothing wrong with it being like his team was hard countered. Like, hard counters exist. Like, your team is just not as, like... That's why you have to build your team to handle everything. No one was expecting this type of mission point. We thought the coast was cleared because Judgment got nerfed, and we're like, okay, okay. That 1-2 turn win is out the window. We're okay now. And then Lucas comes in and shows
I would normally agree with you there, but Lucas... also host a podcast that the competitive HeroClix player would probably listen to with a lot more cussing than ours. Any good follower of competitive HeroClix should be following hcunits.net and would see that Lucas played this team to very good success at some state up north yonder. So it was not a total surprise. So
sure. But at the same time, it's like sometimes you bet against what you're going to see, right? Like, we've had these conversations all the time about, like, oh, my team gets countered by this. What is the likelihood of us seeing that piece? Or do I have to change my team to accommodate that piece? Lucas succeeding with this, a lot of people probably didn't think, well, now there's going to be a lot of mission point people that come in with Lucas to Nationals. Like, we weren't talking about it.
So you asked about, like, so I think to answer the question, how much do we think we'll see mission point teams at Worlds? Guess what Lucas? Guess what Lucas also cracked? He cracked the cheap code, not the cheat. CHEAP. This team is less than $500.
Okay.
So, your regular player can probably play it pretty well. It's a pretty straightforward build. You don't have to make attack rolls usually. They can probably watch the 2 videos from Nationals, understand the downsides of losing initiative and not going to Morlock tunnels and that sort of thing. But it's also a super accessible team. Like, the hardest piece to get on there is the Riddler, because it's a legacy piece. I mean, Batman's $150 plus the Green Lantern. Frogman's was he an uncommon? Was he a rare? He was a rare.
He's a rare.
From a newer set, from a Silver Age legal set. And then the Watcher's in a starter. The Indigo's a cheap super rare. Darkseid's a cheap super rare. The Sinestro Core, all that stuff is this team's super accessible to get.
Yeah, I don't know if I would advise people to do that, but yes.
I'm not saying that I would advise people to play it. I'm saying Lucas cracked the cheap code on the meta.
Sure.
And people will now be able to play this team to good success because it opens up a whole new world of competitive play as far as dollar figures go. You look at all these other teams, the next cheapest team on there was probably Calder's Captain America team in the top 16.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what the market is on maggots currently.
Yeah, I mean,
$35.
I mean, Alyssa LTVH and Calder cracked the code on cheap meta.
Her team might be technically the cheapest because
she does have Destroyer on there, so it's like 175 on the sideline. Chip's like 50 now. Lockjaw's still around 50. It's about the same.
He's about 40. I'm looking at the prices. Sorry.
Yeah, he's about the same. I want to say it's pretty dang close.
Yeah, because Maggot's fallen. He's about like 40, maybe.
Right.
I saw him for $30-something.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah,
the chip is not $50.
Yeah, same with Lockjaw's fallen a little bit. Destroyer's still 120-ish.
Yeah. The point is between,
I don't know, but yeah, you're right.
Between Alyssa, Lucas, and Calder's team, right? They crack the cheapness on the meta. They crack the cheat code. So
sure,
I think the whole point of all this whole thing was that don't worry about trying to beat MOE. Just have somebody that's unequipped. You can beat the MOE chases. Worry about beating the other stuff. Mission points are at a tipping point now, where they can win without interacting. With the definition of interacting being attack rolls. And they are one of the cheapest teams in the meta currently. Because you make a jump, and probably the cheapest team after that was Rob Gallagher's 5 Apocalypse team. With a Genesis and a Wonder Woman.
It's crazy to say, isn't it?
Yeah, 5 Apocalypses, Genesis, Wonder Woman, Absorbing Man. The tarot cards may have been worth quite a bit. But Rob's team's probably $1,300 depending on your sword layout. So, I would say it's a half and half here. It's a half call to action. Like, WizKids, you should have done something with retirement before this Worlds. It's gonna be a disaster. Sorry, it's not gonna be a disaster. I take that back. We're going to have a really great time at Worlds. There's going to emerge a world champion who's worked really hard to make it through the field. But there are probably just too many game elements right now for a healthy meta.
But I will say, afterwards, though, I think the timing of this makes so much more sense, right? Rotation happening after Worlds is the best.
It does, but guess what? We don't have any events, like you said, so it doesn't really matter. Afterwards.
Well, no, I mean going into next year, next year's Worlds. If we kept having everything in July, we would be dealing with we've got 2 months to solve the meta to go into it.
Yeah.
I think long term just makes sense. We just have to go through this.
I don't want the meta solved going into Worlds. That's where you see inventive players come out and build cool teams and win.
Or they try surprise teams and win. And be like, gotcha, type things.
That didn't happen last year.
Well, I mean, does that change anything going into this year because of how... I don't want to say how stale the meta was last year, but no one had a great feeling in Worlds last year, right? Because of all the APOCs and Scarabs.
My feeling is worse this year.
Well, right. Is it worse because we also had last year? So it's we haven't had a good...
I had a great feeling.
So yeah, I did too, Jason. I had a great feeling at Worlds last year. But it was overall not a great feeling because the meta was fairly narrow last year, and it's that same narrowness but with extra efficiency added on top of it. So, that's my thought for this year.
Yeah, I'm still debating.
There's still APOC. It's just a small one, not a big one. And all the same power erasers. Power erasers are just not fun. Look, you can call it a needed, necessary evil if you want, Alex. Mm-hmm. It is not fun for my opponent.
It's fun for you to play, though. I mean, you are playing the power racing.
I play it because I have to. Like, I would like
you
to
play it because it's fun, because it's very, very strong.
I would say it's not... fun is such a relative term. It was not my version of fun meta. No. Like, I would say a shout out to Brody Stockhouse. But, like, when I ruined his 100-point Kang fella, or how many ever points he is, and then just clapped him off of the earth with a charged flurry, that was not fun for him.
Sure.
He was like, I want to replace a die on the super senses. And I was like, dude, you don't have super senses. He's like, oh, okay.
It's the same thing for people that are getting clapped by Prime Spidey. And Sky Tyrant with their Necro Swords coming up. Like, it's very similar.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have a Necro Sword? Like, this stuff should be gone.
Yeah, then Carnage Silver Surfer will just be unkillable. And good game.
That feels like an over-exaggeration. Like, you're saying Carnage Silver Surfer, but, like, also, like, you get spider senses, right? That's a really big thing.
Sure.
It is what it is at that point. Like, the fact that shape change and super senses exist does not make... Those are standard powers. Like, Prime Spider...
Right.
like, Carnage Silver Surfer and Prime Spider-Man are not unkillable because of spider senses and shape change.
Highly annoying, but not unkillable.
Right, you get to at least try.
But then add on King Killmonger, so you've got 2 4-6 rollouts and a 5-6 rollout. Like, there's a reason, very specific reason, why in the past, like, 3 months, the all black is suddenly incredible. Well, it's been since we could assign equipment, essentially. And now you can pick up heavies and you don't have to have super strength. But now, an equipment that hadn't been used that much, there were obviously some cases with Sky Tyrant. Now it's like a necessity on every team because super senses, super senses, and shape change are everywhere. So now once those are gone, the all black, I am concerned because it isn't like those super senses and shape change are leaving with it, and we have this new, you've got impervious and you got normal stuff. All that stuff's still going to exist, and it's just going to be who has precision strike.
They should. Like, we say, like, these, like, over the years, right? Like, I don't know, Jason, there was a really good Superman at one point that had impervious and a 16 defense. And it was like, right? It's like, well, you're going to be able to hit Superman.
Hearing that he was really good, 16
right.
defense.
But that's the point, right? Like, standard powers should be able to be usable. Right?
Yeah,
like,
they should.
And I feel like, Alex, did we body swap at some point today?
I mean, Battle Fury and Precision Strike do exist.
Yeah, did we body swap at some point? Am I advocating for just playing the game with standard powers all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, fucking get rid of those powers. Scarlet, ruin those son of a bitches.
It's because the powers are being handed out like candy on incredibly good pieces already, and that's where I just have general concern. That's all.
Alex,
perfect. If they get rid of Scarlet Witch and all that, that's fine. I am just concerned that we are thinking, once all these are gone, the meta's great, and then we're going to find that we're still in the same shit that we're in. It's just a different flavor. It just smells a little different. It's
I'd
like
much
we
rather
went to Taco Bell tonight.
I'd much rather be able to roll my powers. Alex, here's your new... Oh, sorry. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Clixed Off today. Joining me today is Alex, fuck your standard powers, Coos.
Man, why did Thanos get nerfed, man? He was perfectly fine. Let me continue this I'm Daniel Powell, the diatribe that I'm doing.
Right.
I feel like I've walked into the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
Right.
This is all a dream, Jason.
Yeah.
This is
My dream is to play HeroClix where somebody's not playing a piece that stops my pieces from doing what's on its dial.
I'm just gonna play. You know what? I'm just gonna play Merlin the rest of the way. Just
You know
to
what?
Say,
Guess
what?
No. Here's the thing. What set did he come out in?
X of Swords. He's gonna be fine, baby.
Yeah.
There you go.
I guess deal with the whole Crypt Mist team. Well, now Moira will be gone. So
Mora will be gone.
Yeah.
Right? Jason, it's great. Mora's gone. Play Merlin. He's fine.
Next weapon, next set, Legacy Moira. So
Oh
whatever.
my gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys.
You know, we've been talking about all this. I wanted to briefly mention that I played Dice Masters Worlds on Saturday. And I didn't do great, but I got the first ever alternate win condition with Black Panther. So just wanted to say Dice Masters is fun, and I feel bad that it's kind of being neglected a bit.
Right.
But
so you're the mission point player in Dice Masters.
essentially, at this point, yeah. I didn't. Well, right now, Master Mold is basically just the Scarlet Witch of Dice Masters. It's just played everywhere. And
I was going to ask that because I saw it on a bunch of those teams.
yeah, it's incredibly impressive. It just pops out so many bystanders that does 5 damage. It's crazy. So I heard there was an alternate win condition.
Is the Master Mold in Dice Masters more powerful than the one in HeroClix?
100%.
That's funny.
I'm talking to some of the Dice Masters. They're like, is there a Master Mold in HeroClix? I'm like, it's not nearly as good as the one you're playing. Like, not nearly.
That's funny.
But they do have a power eraser called Typhoid Mary, who erases the text on a card and is necessary to stop Master Mold. So maybe that's where some of this, vitriol talk is coming from for me, where it's like, she is absolutely necessary. Same with like a Pacifist Drax Dice Master that says you can't bring that card out.
Right.
Like, it's a necessary evil because certain things are just too overpowered. But
right, yeah. So I would say this. So let's get to some questions tonight.
Yeah.
So Emmanuel, you were right. He said, he asked in our patron chat, any plans on a podcast speculating in what to expect at Worlds? I'm looking forward to it to being a free-for-all. Not only was this past segment a free-for-all, Alex apparently body swapped with me there for a few moments. So
sure. I was channeling myself and Tyler. Like, I was trying to just... Well, you were channeling Tyler, I guess. But
Worlds is going to be an awful, not fun thing, probably, right?
Yeah.
I'm really debating if I'm playing singles. Like,
here's what I'm going to play at Worlds during for singles. Battle Royale. That's what I'm going to do.
Jason, no. Here's what you know what you should play.
What's that?
Are you ready? 3.
What is it?
You should play 3 Legacy Apocalypses. I hear they're still pretty good.
Well, you know what? I'd play it. I don't know, but nobody's played them since I played them, so I don't know if they are.
I mean, Jason, you had so much fun playing it, like, and you know how to keep bystanders back. The fuck they gonna do? The fuck people gonna do against 3 APOC still? Score 15 points, hopefully, and hope they don't get blasted from 8 squares away by old big APOC blasting the shit out of them for 4 to 5 damage.
They're going to play a Secret 6 team of Scarabs with my Mastermind, or you just start wasting powers for that. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that is probably accurate.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah. Or they're going to sit behind a wall before you can get to them and accumulate mission points. Right. Yeah. So you know what though? But
you know what? APOC had to go though.
But you know what? That's the thing, Jason. It's perfect versus mission points. Because you go outdoors, you don't make pogs.
Yeah.
They ain't knocking back APOC, baby.
No, they're not.
You just move up, 8 squares out, you just start to blast, and Frogman can bounce his... frogs are lizards, right? They're amphibians. Frogman can bounce his...
they're not lizards.
Frogman... Those are reptiles, pretty sure.
They're amphibians. Whatever.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck Frogman is, he can bounce his happy ass off of Colossal APOC all the day.
Yeah, that's true.
So, there you go.
Just pee-peeing.
Alright, so, let's just answer some questions here, go through that.
Let's play Five Captain America. You can't knock shit back either.
Yeah, you can play...
Yeah, you could just do your own Frogman.
Right.
And he just says... Yeah, so?
Prime Captain, you don't have to be a Jason.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about Prime Cap too, and then I saw Frogman. It was 15 points cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jason Phillip, what are some ideas around combating Prime Spider-Man besides the all black as well as the rune? That
Mystic's damage.
Mystic's damage. Yeah, Rob's team is really good versus Prime Spider-Man. The multiple grand prize apocalypses.
Or just hit him first. Like,
Oh no!
that's also a counter.
But Alex, you'll have a standard powers or two. I don't know if that'll be enough.
Splash dance.
What standard powers is he having?
Josh, super
Splash damage
super senses,
from the
Emperor.
Side Blast card.
Yeah, Side Blast
Yeah,
card's a good one.
you hit him first with your own Prime Spidey that has the Necro Sword, is what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because that's ultimately what happens. Or
so-
Sky Tyrant.
The other thing here is, do you think Merlin will make it into top 4 at Worlds if Rob Ogre attends Worlds? Yes. Just look up Rob Ogre's results from the Celtic Classic in Michigan States. Last question from the Fishbowl. Will Sam be doing another show soon? Let's sure hope so. Because y'all might be tired of us yelling at each other already.
Apparently they are. Like.
I tell you what, Sam got a lot of great feedback at Nats about doing a show, so I've been telling her that. So, Mark, for players on a, oh yeah, well Marcus, we answered your question. What are some teams they should consider playing? Mission points, animals.
If you're all about, yep.
Any of the new con LEs on your radar is potentially playable for Worlds? Space Ghost, and there might be a team with. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm answering the questions here, but we're all thinking Space Ghost.
I like the Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and I was going to say the Wonder Woman, but the Wonder Woman with handing out free equipment and then being swapped out on an X-Men team. So some sort of hybrid Amazon, X-Men, warrior conglomeration with Death Metal Wonder Woman. That might be the sleeper team. So Jason, did you buy a Batman or a Hawkeye? And Hawkeye?
I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either. So, because this is Alex Musser out of all the con exclusives for 2023, which ones are you looking out for moving forward? Those two, and then Pegasus Cap at Worlds.
Cap on Pegasus.
Yeah.
And he won't be legal for.
No, but I want to get him. Like, I'm looking forward to. Getting him. Like, he's going to be good.
And then Eric Adams' question. So all the Toji souls that I didn't tell Jason in the ride home, I handed out during the episode this time. So Prime Spider-Man, really freaking good. We didn't even talk about how great Alex Mader's team was, because it's just an efficient Prime Spider-Man delivery service. Just know what we go back to what we talked about with Prime Spider-Man: sidestep, wall crawler, charge, giant reach, and just imagine that with a Venom Magneto and an MOE support system.
And Carnage Silver Surfer, that too.
He had a Carnage Surfer.
He did have a Carnage Surfer, but that's like, but on a Prime Spider-Man team, Carnage Silver Surfer's like a tertiary attacker. Like Prime Spider-Man is going in. To be clear, y'all, Prime Spider-Man goes in and does 8 to 12 to 14 damage on his opener with a Necro Sword.
Yeah.
So whatever's left after taking 16 damage, 14 damage to the face. Carnage Silver Surfer just so happens to be a really good, efficient cleanup piece.
But he's also not a cleanup piece, because he would have just healed 3 times, right?
Right, because symbiote. No, Spider-Man doesn't have symbiote. He doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Does he have symbiote?
Yeah, he has
Yes.
symbiote. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
Is like, that's the thing. Yes, and you're right. The thing is, you're gonna probably exhaust a lot of your resources, what's left, to take out that Prime Spidey, and then you're gonna be like, yes, I took it out. And then there's Big Boy Connor Silver Surfer at Top Click, who's like, yo, you forgot about me because you were worrying about my homeboy Petey over here. I'm at Top Dial. I'm ready to come at you.
It's Monsters the keyword he doesn't have what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I think.
And to be clear, Black Skull also has symbiote. Alex started with him. I get that, but still, Carnage Silver Surfer at full dial still struggles on a 24 square map. Prime Spider-Man does not.
Right, I'm saying it's the tandem. It's definitely a big one and then a good two. It's not like, oh, he's left with just MOE pieces and Saki who could be handled. It's like, okay, there's still a big...
Yeah.
You have to know how to handle Prime Spidey and Carnage Silver Surfer. Like, you have to be able to handle both of them.
Necro Swords all day. Alright, next question. Wesley Robinson, what do you think about the negative comments about the winner of the Silver Age event having a mostly modern team? You know what's funny is that guy in the picture did not look like Wesley Robinson. That's a funny joke because it was, oh man, I forgot his name. Guy I just traded with, it was Indiana States. It was actually somebody else. Probably just using Wesley's credentials for the day, which is fine. But the problem is that modern age pieces are also Silver Age pieces. So, congratulations to the winner. Negative comments happen. People are just goofy.
Hey, if rotation happens like we were talking about, then hey, good news. There will be a lot of Silver Age coming up with only Silver Age pieces. You think Scarlet Witch and Saki are just not going to be played in Silver Age?
Right. And that was my other point with Brian is, you know, please think about Scarlet Witch. Please think about Agatha. Please think about... Well, they did think about Scarab. Scarab's banned in Silver, but doesn't get touched in Modern. That's a funny one. Like, guess what? If he's really good in Silver, that you have to ban him, he's probably good enough to think about in Modern. But I was like, please think about Silver Age. Please think about the HeroClix Huntington event when doing something with Scarlet Witch. So, the negative comments, whatever. Don't worry about it. Are there any Iconics or Con LEs that have meta potential? And then we did provide our predictions for Modern rotation. Iconics, Thanos Snap, right?
I don't know. I was gonna say Bane.
Yeah, Bane.
Bane, Nightfall.
I'm in a group chat with some guys, one of the play groups in Atlanta, and they had a big battle royal, and two of the guys played Thanos. So can you imagine playing in a constructed BR with Thanos with like 4 people, and like he snaps and like destroys like all of their teams? That's just funny to me. And then Giordano. Hey, Giordano sponsored the booze for the trip. Thank you. The grappa was good. And the tequila did not make it home. It was all drank up by the team. And then the Coors Banquet is still in my fridge. So Nick Brammer, what are your opinions on time limits per turn? I don't know. But here's a funny one. Do you think people should be familiar with how their team works before showing up? Yeah. Yes.
No, I don't adhere to that. I play shit I ain't never played before half the time when I show up with something. So,
yeah. I think they should, though. They should be I mean, you've at least read your cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
This question from Alex Truel. It sounds like Alex was there, and I may not have remembered meeting Alex. I'm going to look at his picture here on Facebook real quick. Because Alex, I apologize if I don't remember. I want to look at your profile so I remember what you look like. By the way, thanks everybody for coming up, talking to us about the show. It was great to meet all of y'all. Thank you for all of the feedback on our shows and content. And yes, I do remember meeting you, Alex. Yes, it was great to meet you. Or at least see you again. Some folks I don't remember. I mean, I probably met, a dozen new people that said they liked the show and stuff, and just wearing the shirt around Gencon. I got a couple of Hays, listen to the show, love it, and thank y'all. We would not be able to do this without y'all support. But he said Starter Mysterio. I don't know if I saw his Starter Mysterio team. I assume that he played it.
I think I played against Alex.
Yeah.
I did in Pulp. That's the Mysterio that smoke clouds for free, and then if you miss an attack while you're in that smoke cloud, you take one unavoidable.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I ultimately won that one, but it was a very difficult, very, very difficult matchup. Mysterio, outside, I just basically just kept moving out of the smoke cloud and just had to choose to break away a lot of the times. He needed a little bit more damage on the team, but Mysterio was a surprise. I went to attack and I was like, I just can't because I'm gonna miss more likely than not. So because he was also playing it with Sinister, right?
Smart.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that goes together hand in hand real good.
Yeah. So it was a really cool concept.
So you're saying your output of Pulse Wave helped?
I kind of separated the group a bit and isolated Sinister. He was also playing some other unusual pieces that I wasn't anticipating. So he unfortunately wasn't really able to get I think his intent going, like the train going, of locking you up, forcing you to stay, because he had simplicity pieces, and it's just I was able to just get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very cool concept, and I think he's probably right about Mysterio. 40 points for that's not bad if you team it up with Sinister. So it was definitely unusual, and I liked it. It was very creative for sure.
Yeah, Franklin chooses Force Blast Pulse Wave Prob.
But then dies the next turn because he just gets demolished.
That's probably true. Martin Norton says, will Merlin start to see an increase in play? Alex certainly hopes so.
I think someone has to find a way for Merlin to work on a team that actually has offensive capabilities.
Yeah.
The current Merlin is mostly on the Sinister teams. And it's like you're really buying all into you're shutting your opponent down, but you're giving up you're relying on just Sarkey and Iron Man and be like, that's my damage. And that works in some instances.
Yeah.
If someone can make the Merlin team that works with, here's Merlin shutting you down, but I also have enough firepower to score more points than you, I think that's when Merlin will be better. I don't know if we're there yet.
Right.
I think it could be, but we'll see.
So are you? So I think the other point here is: are you considering team builds that include Scott Porter in your Worlds team? I think here's the thing, folks. We don't know whether or not Merlin or Scott Porter is going to come out in time for Worlds at this point. We should have already had the pre-order for the other one, and we don't. So I would say probably not. Don't plan on him being legal.
Yeah, I think last news we heard was that he was going to be shipped in September. Mm-hmm. And if he's shipped in September, he shouldn't be legal.
Well, he said he'll be. So Scott, I went and watched the Scott Porter live stream of it, and it says that he'll be legal 10 days after he releases, is what Scott said in his live stream. So if he's not, that's a different thing. But
what's the official release date?
Well,
we don't even know, right?
So I will say this. say what you want about the list of modern age legal releases. I know that's unofficial modern age events, right? People still look at the list, though. He is currently legal on the list.
Oh,
Both Scots are listed on the list as is.
really?
Yes, they have been unusually hyper aggressive of what they put on there. The whole Batman Iconics with Bane has been legal for a long time because I don't know if whoever does this bases it off of the original release date, but right now Scott Porter's 1, 2 are both legal per this list. But remember, this list is for unofficial modern age events.
Right.
So, Worlds.
You see, I don't get that. Why do we have a legal list for unofficial events?
I did I did get to talk to Chris about that a little bit at Nationals, and he said that it is the list. So they just need to. I talked to him about his wording, and he said that he basically just told me that I was interpreting it incorrectly. Not to just paraphrase what Chris told me at Nationals. So
as of right now, September, we can be looking at a potential madhouse if shipping somehow goes a little.
I doubt
weird.
it. So to be clear, I doubt it.
Yeah, it's unlikely.
It's unlikely. So yeah, Scott Porter, I fit him into all of my builds at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just I don't have to even think about him putting him into the Scarlet Witch build because he probably just takes over KCGL, or he goes on to a theme build. He very much he probably, if anything, would make me go towards Ken's build and make it a full themed mystical build to get rid of Star Sapphire.
Yeah, so you might want to pick up. You probably want to pick up, if you don't already have a set of Indigo. Right? Indigo's would be the go-to with him if you're thinking about, because he has all keywords, right?
Yeah, not the first one.
Not the 02. It's the 01 that does, and we're getting the 02, right? That one you could still choose a keyword if you really need to and give them that, but
yeah. All right, next question. So we don't know yet, Martin. I just doubt he'll be legal for Worlds, is my sense at this point. Adam Mesa-Jueski, will Prime Spider-Man be unstoppable after rotation? No. He'll have to deal with shape change and super senses.
Yeah, he himself will be harder to take out, but he also will not be taking things out as easily. Unless we get some sort of equipment that gives us precision strike or something, right? But
yep. All right. So next question, Peter Marshfield. I think we talked quite a bit about that. Silver Age question from him: when you have 10 points left on your build, what do you think is the best way to spend those points? Golly, there's so many options. There's just too many options, Peter, to be honest with you.
Yeah. At 10 points in Silver Age, that's a lot because you got location bonuses. Because don't forget, there's a lot of good location bonuses out there that are even better now. So, yeah, I mean that it really depends on what you're missing on your team, support wise. If you're missing some support powers and Darkholds, sure, some of the gems, but more likely than not, you're already assigning all your figures, equipment. So the harder question is if you got 10 points left and everyone's equipped, what do? Do you go with a 10-point piece like Carnage, or do you go with a location bonus? Those are the decisions I struggle with sometimes when I'm looking at Silver Age.
Yep, I agree with you. Jimmy Williams, is Venom God worth the money? No.
He is cool looking.
He is cool. He's badass.
Cool as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I popped him out of the box because I wanted to verify everything was good with him, and he looks great. At least you're not getting a wonky sculpt or something. So
yeah.
I would say there's still a little bit of obviously hype on his price, and because he's a winnable, but this kind of goes back to Adams stating, "Will Prime Spider-Man be unstoppable?" Well, right now Venom God of Symbiotes isn't great because of all those reasons, because of the Necro Sword, because like he just loses all that access to good powers. But once that goes away, I mean, I think he's very playable, like from a meta standpoint, after rotation happens.
Yep.
So
I agree.
So is he worth the price now? He's a little too pricey now.
Right.
But you definitely want to have one.
That's right. And then Jeff Dumas asked, "Is Tyler alive?" Tyler is currently on hiatus.
And last we know,
overdosed on Chipotle.
Say that again, Jason.
We assume he hasn't overdosed on Chipotle.
True.
Can't.
The last that we know is he's alive. So
yeah. Indeed. And that's it. Final thoughts, Alex.
Justice for Dice Masters.
Final thoughts, Jason.
I don't know. I don't have anything. I'm blank. Justice for Dice Masters.
Are you currently in a rune?
Yeah, I think so. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
We're thinking about Lorcana next week, so
yeah.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, we had a really good episode here. Wanted to record a little bit earlier in the week, but life happens. So appreciate seeing y'all at Gencon. Expect us to record some more. Plan on talking about some more pulp stuff. We do need to finish our pulp tier maker. I do enjoy talking about pulp. Just pulse wave. Probably focus on the pulse wave. But yeah, we do plan on recording some more before Worlds. Thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today. We'll talk to y'all next time.
Later.
See ya.